Hello, everyone. This is the monthly Q&A from e-Residency team. And I see we have people joining. The number is rising constantly. So we're going to wait a little bit more just to see how many people we get. But in the meanwhile, when you have joined, it would be really nice to hear where you're from. So you could write it in our chat where you're from and which of the creative industries, which of the creative segments are you representing here. It would be really nice to hear from you. Awesome. Hello to India, Germany. We have some people all the way from Saudi Arabia and Brazil. Wow, writer and a poet. That's neat. Vietnam, that's far away. Pakistan, UK, oil and gas. That's not exactly creative services, but welcome, and hopefully you find some useful information here today still. Egypt, nice to have you. Quite a very international crowd today. All right. Creating AI generated content and a marketplace. That's interesting. That's awesome. And we have a designer and a translator from New Zealand living in Japan. That's quite the crowd here today. All right. Just wait for another minute and then we can start. Oh, we have some of our spokespeople joining here today as well. Federico, hi to you as well. All right. Well, thank you all very much for joining. My name is Ülane. I am from the e-Residency team, and we are here today to tell you about e-Residency program and how it can help the creative segments, creators and entrepreneurs to run their businesses. And hopefully this is going to be an interesting webinar today. I will share my screen. There we go. Is that now full screen?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So hello to everybody. Got a very international crowd here today. This is our regular monthly Q&A, this time focused on creative segment. And I am not here alone today, but I actually have some people joining me. As a tradition, we include one of our trusted service providers as well in the webinar. So Madis Päev, product marketing manager from Xolo, is joining us today to help me answer questions. And I will give you the word in a second just to say a few words about yourself. And then we have Cristian Larrosa from Argentina, who is an e-resident and runs Larrosa Music Group through Estonia as well. So these are your hosts today, and hopefully it will be a nice all-around conversation from both the side of the e-Residency program, services that the private sector can support you with, and also a real life experience from somebody who is a music entrepreneur. I'm going to have Madis really quickly say a few words about Xolo, as we have a few introductory slides here as well before we dive into the topic of e-Residency. And then I will have also Cristian say a few words.
Yep. So hi everybody. So nice to see so many great people here. So my name is Madis, and yes, I'm from Xolo, which is basically the easiest way how to actually set up an Estonian company and also run it, because we have a really cool and simple platform made especially for people who are solopreneurs. So yeah, I guess I will not go too much into it, but yeah, basically we offer services for e-residents to launch a e-residency company. We support with accounting, with taxes and reporting, and also to make it super easy, you can integrate all your bank accounts with Xolo. So everything would be automated, and we just want to make business administration super simple.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And then we have Cristian here. Cristian, you want to introduce yourself a little bit and tell us what the Larrosa Music Group is doing?
Yes. Hi, everybody. It's nice to see you all. And it's great, as Mike was saying, so many countries that are participating here. Larrosa Music Group, it's a company that provides consulting in advanced technologies and financing for the music industry. We are mostly focused in the Spanish-speaking industries, operating from Spain, but we're also working with international companies like venture capital and investment funds in America. Actually, I'm here at the moment in Miami, working with some people and some investors from here. So basically, any music company, music publisher, record label, songwriters, artists, recording artists, any music project can be helped by us. Like, let's say they want to integrate advanced technologies in their processes, or if they need funds for developing projects, we can have a conversation and we can see if we can help.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. So a few technical details, and I'm going to tell you that we're going to have the webinar in 3 parts. The first part is going to introduce how the application process of e-residency looks like, how you can get e-residency, what is it, what you can do with it. And then the second part is going to be more about company establishment, about the details of how to do it through Estonia, what it requires, how much it costs, all the things like that. And then the third part is going to be about taxes. So we're going to have it in 3 parts. In the meanwhile, you may get questions, and please do not post your questions into the chat, because they're going to get lost between all the heys and hellos from Egypt and New Zealand and everywhere. So it would be really nice if you posted your questions into the Q&A section. It's a separate section on Zoom. So if you post them there, we actually have a team on the background who is also answering questions in written form. We have Madis Päev from our team. We have Hannah Brown from our team answering questions. And we also have a tax expert from PwC that's also able to maybe answer some more specific and more complicated questions if necessary. I am going to take some questions for live answering in the meanwhile after each of the sections, and we're going to just to see how it goes. We're going to make it interactive and then use your questions to guide us as well. But to dive in, then first of all, welcome to Estonia. Estonia is a tiny country, but we have made ourselves a name in the world, despite the fact that our population is tiny. We have 1.3 million people in the country. But also we are part of the European Union and Eurozone, so that makes us a great gateway into the European Union if that's a market for your business and your creative outcome. 99% of our public services are online, and what this means is that it's a fully digitalized country. It has been already for more than 20 years. And anything that we have to do in connection to our government, any public service that normally you would go to an office and talk to a civil servant, we are able to do online. So there's an infrastructure that combines different services into one whole. And this digital whole is now accessible also to e-residents. Estonia is very adaptive of new technologies, and this makes it a great place for business. In terms of the creative sector, there are over 30,000 professionals in this small country in the creative segments, and 117 tech startups that are doing something with creative industries with 20 million of total revenue. And if you are a music entrepreneur or more well-versed in the music, then I would also mention that it's the home to Arvo Pärt, one of the most renowned contemporary composers, and also 10 unicorns, which means companies that are evaluated at more than 1 billion euros. How does e-Residency then go together with creative segment? What we have learned from talking to entrepreneurs in this sector is that digital entrepreneurship, being able to run your business from anywhere, allows you to manage your royalties, your contracts, and your finance from anywhere. And somebody who is in the creative segments, I bet your life is actually really mobile. I bet you have to fly around a lot, like we just heard that Cristian is in Miami. So being able to do that from anywhere is actually a value on its own. Me, as an Estonian, I've been running my business for more than 12 years before joining the e-Residency team. And I have repeatedly spent winters in some warmer places than Estonia is. So this really gives you the freedom to do that because you don't have to be stuck in one physical place. It offers a simplified setup for example, for music ventures and other art projects, because what Estonia does is that it makes starting a limited liability company as easy as in many other countries the freelancer or the solopreneur scheme would be. So working even together with different partners on a project is made very simple. And this is a great base for cross-border collaboration, which in arts, music, design is very common. As all of the residents get themselves a digital ID, then working together with the actual legal right to sign documents is a great setup to do so. Running a company through Estonia has very easy reporting, which means that one company can do many different things. And in the creative sector, you might have several different revenue streams, and you don't need a different setup for each one. So our reporting for companies is really straightforward and very simple. So doing everything through one company, even if you're making money from various sources, being present in different digital platforms, receiving remuneration from there is a no hassle scheme. And also because we are a country that adopts the new technologies really fast, then it's also a favorable legal environment for NFTs. We were one of the first countries to start passing laws for cryptocurrencies. So Estonia is always keeping up with how the world is changing, and every service that you can think of, for example, applying for patents or getting your trademarks protected, like everything like that works through digital applications as well, because all of the state services are online. And I was thinking about it a little bit, having talked to a lot of creators and a lot of, for example, music entrepreneurs. Just wanted to give you a little bit of a bird's eye view on the creator life cycle. When you're first starting out, then for most people, using this local freelancer setup in your own country is sufficient. It basically covers all your needs. What may become an obstacle for a lot of people is that the freelancer schemes or the solopreneur formats in many countries, they may actually be quite burdensome for somebody whose income may go up and down and fluctuate from month to month. So we see a lot of people turning to e-Residency already at that point when they actually discover that the local setup is not according to their creative lifestyle's needs. When you start growing, then arises the need for having a registered entity. So registering a company actually becomes a big question at the point where you start having costs for your business, when you start investing, when you have events, travel, things like that, which may end up being for somebody who didn't really want to become a businessman per se, but wanted to do what they love, a very big obstacle, because in many countries the limited liability company setup is expensive, requires legal advisors, and it actually may seem like a massive headache. And a lot of e-residents then turn to Estonia and decide to establish here, because running an OÜ company, a limited liability company through Estonia, is pretty much as easy as being a freelancer in some countries. And when you start scaling, when you expand to different markets, then when you have to deal with cross-border relations, when you have to be present in various ecosystems, let's say you're from South America, but you need to do business in the European Union, when you need to have this fast movement of both transactions and information and legal rights, then Estonia may present a great opportunity at that point when you're actually deciding to scale your business. So in different stages of this life cycle, creators have different needs. The creator economy could approach $500 billion business by 2027. And this varies from somebody who just writes a blog to somebody who really runs a professional business in some of the creative sectors. But it does provide a huge growth potential. So that's why we are actually discovering and talking to a lot of entrepreneurs and figuring out how Estonia would help them better to run their businesses. And what we realized is that when you become, for example, a musician, you do not want to become somebody who also sits behind Excel tables. So you want to do what you love, and you want to leave everything else to somebody else, or at least not to deal with it. Musicians always have managers, and I think there's a reason for that. The creative souls, they don't want to deal with things that are not creative. So, and this is why e-residency is actually a great solution. So what is e-residency? E-residency is a digital identity that is issued by the Estonian government. It's almost as good as equal to our local ID card here, which gives access to Estonian e-services. And it's a secure digital signature, which actually allows you to sign various documents just like you would on paper. It's a digital key to do business through Estonia. And it's also a community of now over 105,000 e-residents. It's a very international community. And I know that this community is also a very tight-knit community, helping each other out, brainstorming for ideas, how to run their businesses better. There's also a lot of misunderstandings, and we're fully aware that the brand name may suggest so, but we have to also talk about what e-residency is not. An e-residency is not a travel document. So in that sense, it's a little bit worse than the Estonian ID card. We also travel with ours within the European Union. But with an e-residency card, you simply prove your identity online. So you cannot use it for anything else in the offline world. It proves your identity online, and it's not good for citizenship, visa, residency permit to Estonia. It doesn't automatically mean that you become a tax resident of Estonia or get your business bank account opened, or definitely not a personal bank account. So none of those things are included in becoming an e-resident. So who can apply? E-resident is only an individual. So a company is not an e-resident. E-residency is granted to people like you or me. And so you could use this instead of your passport in real life in the e-services of Estonia to prove that you are really you online. And you have to prove in the process of application substantial interest in using the e-services and starting a company in Estonia. What this means is that when you're applying, you need to explain how what you're doing is hopefully in the future benefiting Estonia in return for these seamless e-services. As I said, it's different for the Estonian citizens and residents. So if you're already here, then you actually get an Estonian ID card. So ID card is not the same. You cannot have both at the same time. E-residency card is only granted to non-citizens of Estonia. And currently, we also have restrictions on new applications from Russians and Belarusians. So that's something to keep in mind if you currently hold as your only citizenship one of the two passports. And why become an e-resident? Would actually be great to get Christian's comment on this as well when I finish with these points. The main reason why people become e-residents from other countries is to have an EU-based company that is manageable 100% online. You can do it from anywhere, so you can basically log on to any service and just do your duty in front of the government. Also, one of the other reasons is to be able to sign documents, and this can be together with having an EU-based company, but it can also be a separate case where you need to collaborate across European Union countries, for example. The other participants of a project may also have either Estonian or another country's EU ID, and this provides you with an opportunity to have digital signatures on documents. And I know that some Estonian bigger companies, for example, when they hire advisory board members from other countries, then the first thing they tell them to do is to become e-residents as well, because signing documents, signing papers is so much easier when you have this. And joining a community of over 100,000 creative minds. Christian, if you could maybe comment a little bit, like what do you think was the main reason for you to become an e-resident?
Yes, well, basically it was the ease of doing business, which is great when you come. For example, when I started working from Argentina before moving to Europe, that was in 2012. We were struggling very hard to get an international structure to work outside the country and to work with different countries around the world. So when I moved to Spain in 2012, I became musical director of a music company in Spain, and then I've ended up founding my own company, my own record label and publishing in Spain, that I sold in 2019 to American investors. After selling that company and after having the experience of setting up a company in Spain, how difficult it was. And as you were saying before, Elaine, that when you're a creative mind, you don't want to deal with those kind of figures and papers and notaries and stuff. Sometimes you want to focus on create, and even if you are an executive, of course. I'm a singer-songwriter as well. I'm a musician. I think I do have that creative mind, but also you apply that to the business. And in terms of signing things and setting up a company all around the world, most of the times it's very difficult. And then when you're working with companies outside your country or different companies, for example, here in America or in South America, you need a multi-currency account. You need an international structure, basically. And that was probably the main reason. After I signed up as an e-resident, it was everything so smooth. Opening the company, opening the bank accounts using Wise in my case, on Revolut. It was so easy that I think we started operating straight away. And this is in 2019. Our first operations were here with American investors in the US, and no hassle. It was really, really easy. So that was the main reason. And working in Europe, of course, being based in Spain, and our whole operations are, let's say, our headquarters are in Madrid. So it was really easy to deal with the EU bank account and everything. But also we have a bank account in pounds, in Swiss francs, and we use every currency and no problem at all. And accounting and everything is really easy. You have a lot of providers around, and yeah, it's it's perfect for a creative mind, I would say.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing your experience. So how does one become an e-resident? This is a quick timeline, and the application is online. What you do there is that you have to take some time to answer the questions thoroughly, because this is the basis of judging your application. Then you choose a pickup location. You pay the state fee of 100 to 120 euros. And then this goes to Estonian Police and Border Guard Board that reviews your application within 30 days of submission. So might sound scary. Why Estonian Police and Border Guard? Because this is our local institution for giving out also ID cards and passports, so any kind of document. And they will evaluate your application, make a decision. And if the decision is positive, there might also be some additional questions that are sent to you. If something is unclear or requires further investigation, then e-residency kit will be sent to a pickup location that is that you have chosen, and this will take about 2 to 5 weeks. And then you have to collect your e-residency kit in person. Why in person? This is always a big question, and maybe there's already some in the Q&A. Because of the security. It has the highest level of eIDAS digital identities, and what this means is that the person has to be identified in real life in the process. So when you go to pick up your e-residency card in one of our pickup locations, which are either our police departments or the embassies around the world, then somebody will actually capture your biometrics, your fingerprints, check from your real passport whether you are really you who's picking up the document. And this is what makes the Estonian e-residency a secure digital identity. And all in all, this process takes 3 to 8 weeks, depending on how far you are located from Estonia, or how often the mail moves to this place. And once you have the card, then you're ready to use Estonian e-services. This is a map of our pickup locations, and as I said, mainly they are our embassies. If you are for some reason close to Estonia, then you are also welcome to hop by and actually go to the regular police department here to get your e-residency card as well. You may need to be willing to travel to a different country, because as you can see, a small country like ours doesn't have embassies everywhere. And if you do need to travel, then you need to also make sure that you have the right to enter this country. So if this country for you requires a visa, then just the fact that you're picking up your e-residency card, unfortunately, is not enough to enter the country. So once you have the card, then let's see in the Q&A section, maybe we have some questions that are specific to the process of opening a company. See here a lot of oh, actually maybe this is a good question actually to ask from Cristian as well. What is the current situation in Northern Europe, mainly Estonia, regarding the Ukraine-Russian war? I think this creates a lot of how to say, like maybe fear to a lot of people that is Estonia actually a safe place for my company? Looking from further away, this is a relevant question. Cristian, what do you think?
Well, I think it's very, very safe. Again, for us, when we started in 2019 and having operations with investment funds here in America and with American investors and everybody, when they were asking, well, why your company's in Estonia? Besides me telling them how easy for us was to set up our company there and how great it is for our structure, they understood that Estonia is part of the EU, part of NATO. It's very, very safe and strong in cybersecurity and everything. So it was like great for everybody to understand that Estonia is that kind of, let's say, strong or have that they have that strong position in the EU. So it's easy. I mean, at least for us and for everybody that I know that they have a company in Estonia, it's really easy. No hassle, no problem at all.
Awesome. Then we have a question from Shaji that may have misunderstood me. So e-residency card itself is a digital identity, as I explained. So it doesn't give you the bank account, either your personal or business bank account, together with the e-residency card. When you use the e-residency card to open a company in Estonia, then that company can go and get a business bank account. But not you personally still, because you don't live here. So that's the difference. Like e-residency card itself doesn't come with a bank account. Maybe that wasn't clear. William asks, how can we network with other e-residents that aren't that isn't Facebook? Besides Facebook groups, we actually have also a Discord channel. The Discord channel is open to e-residents with companies. So this is something that you may want to look into, and we also regularly have events. If you live anywhere near Estonia, then during some bigger conferences in Estonia, we always have a live event and community event, and we come to the different countries as well, where we have a lot of e-residents, have smaller community meetups. So this is a great way to connect with other e-residents. Mohammed asks, can I apply for e-residency card and then turn it into a resident card when my company scales up in Estonia? Yes, exactly. So if you end up having a bigger local operation here in Estonia, then moving here yourself, then you become a resident, and residents get the real ID card with their either temporary or permanent residency. Let's see if there's anything else that is, where are the pickup locations in Southeast Asia? Hannah is already typing an answer. I'm going to leave it to you. Yes, the Discord channel we can share together with the materials that we send. There's a lot of questions about which company types, which segments, which sectors, which businesses does it suit, and really the Estonian legislation is so straightforward and easy, and our as I will explain in the next part, the process is so do-it-yourself type process that it's actually quite easy to manage for anyone. Venkat is also asking, how does the renewal process work? And you actually have to do the exact same application again, because as the e-residency program has a certain target for our country, why do we even offer this? Then you have to explain it again. Why do you want to become an e-resident, and what do you hope to achieve through e-residency? So it's exactly the same application process, but it's necessary to go through it again and go do the face-to-face identification. But let's maybe proceed then with the next part and talk about the company formation. So as I said, opening a company once you are an e-resident is possible 100% digitally, and you can be located anywhere with an internet connection. So this is a great match with your on-the-move lifestyle, and hopefully allows you to actually spend more time doing the creative work. What we have been working on from our side here is that you, as a non-Estonian speaker, somebody from elsewhere, also have a soft landing running your business through Estonia. So there are a lot of service providers such as Xolo we have here today, that we have gathered around us as a community and an ecosystem that can support the residents with their business administration. So you can outsource most of that. But if you are still very small, I also encourage you to look into what's required and see whether it's possible for you to save on some of the costs. So let's see. What does it look like when you have gotten your e-residency card and collected it in the pickup location? Then the card will be activated in 24 hours. And the next step is to choose yourself a business service provider. And this is something that we will talk about a little more in the next few slides. but a business service provider is something that the non-residents will need when they run their business through Estonia. When you do that, I suggest you to think about where your business is going in the future as well. You can do the business registration process completely yourself. So you can log on to the e-business registry and do it yourself. But a lot of service providers have built a really nice API connection and a nice interface on top of the business registry that is within their product, within their service, where you're going to be actually handling your invoicing later. So why not just use theirs? So it doesn't matter which way you decide to go. You might save a few bucks, but I urge you to also check out different options. Then the next step would be to check if your company needs a license. And licenses are required for different fields. Estonia in general is a quite lightly regulated country, but still certain tourism, transportation fields need a license. Obviously, everything that has to do with medicine, cryptocurrencies, or at least issuing your own tradable tokens or currencies requires a license. Financial services, if you are managing somebody else's money, things like that. Quite traditional, but quite the minimal list of fields that are licensed. So check it out. And then the next step would be to apply for a business bank account, and you are ready to basically invoice your first customer. So what is a business service provider? Who can help you with your business? We have something on our website that's called the marketplace. We call it our virtual marketplace of different service providers. And one of the main categories represented there are companies who can help you run your Estonian business, starting from being your contact person or providing you a virtual address, a place where to receive your mail, all the way to managing all of your finances, giving you tax consultations, legal advice, and do all of the accounting as well. So it really depends on what do you need. A local contact person, however, is the only mandatory part of that service. So what this means is that Estonian government needs a little bit more security on those who are located somewhere else, sometimes very far away from the country. So a licensed service provider, somebody who has the necessary legal compliance to do so, is able to be the missing link between the Estonian government and your company. So essentially, they will be their task is to help Estonian government reach you, pass different messages on to you if necessary, if you are not reachable by the means you provided. And the company's address and mailbox and messenger service, this is what will be your legal address in Estonia. A contact person is not a local director, and do not mix this up with requirements that many other countries in the world may impose on you. For example, Ireland requires a resident director to have a company by somebody who is not a resident in Ireland. Singapore wants you to have a resident director, which is a service that you then buy if you don't have one. This is not the same thing. It's a very mild requirement in that sense that it's basically just to have a link, a way to contact you if necessary. So it's not the same thing. But you can choose to buy other services from these companies, whether you leave all of the company information to them, accounting, ask for tax advice and international structuring from them. It really depends on what you need. And I can also tell you that these companies, they range quite a lot, and some of them are focused on a certain lifestyle or life cycle stage, for example, on freelancers. And some are able to support actually quite big operations as well. Then I'm going to move on to how much the company will cost. And I saw some questions about this already. The costs in a nutshell. This is a comparison of when you do it yourself and when you need a lot of assistance or your company is a little bit bigger. So e-residency application fee, we already talked about, it's 100 to 130 euros. The state fee for registering your company is 265 euros. And if you are lucky, one of our service providers may run a campaign that actually makes it either free or a lot cheaper. Or if you choose a service provider that adds a fee on top of it, it may also range a little bit higher. The local contact person service is about 200 to 400 euros a year, depending on the company you choose. Accounting for someone who is a solopreneur, essentially in the first phase of your business, is starting from 50 euros a month. And from experience, I can say that my one-man company that I use for lecturing in a couple of business universities in Estonia pays right around that for its accounting per month. So I can attest to this price being correct. And then whatever other costs might occur, so you might need to travel to a pickup location or use some other services. These we don't list here separately, but the total for first year, if you do everything yourself, is 565 euros of investment. And if you also need to use accounting, then it's about 1,200 something euros. So it really depends on how you want to go. Why we recommend you to choose the OÜ type company as an e-resident for a number of reasons. And I know that some of the e-residents, they check out the FIA scheme as well. And we strongly urge you to look at the OÜ, which is a limited liability company in English. Why? Because it's the most popular business form also within the country. Why? Because it's limiting the liability of the shareholders. It has flexibility to work for a one-man establishment to several shareholders. The minimum share capital has been lowered just recently, earlier this year, to 1 euro cent. So essentially, it's not hard to start out compared to some other countries in the world. And it's quite easy to register. The fee setup has actually quite complicated aspects, and it's taxed differently. So we do not recommend the residents to use this. And since OÜ is as simple as a freelancer scheme in other countries, then it's totally doable for everyone. Then opening a business account. And there are three options for e-residents to open their business banking accounts. The first thing we recommend everyone to check out is payment institutions and fintechs in the European Union and European Economic Area. Why? Because having an online bank or having a fintech app on your phone just makes running a business so much easier than it works well with the e-residency program and Estonian digital services. It has also a quite wide choice of different services. You may need to use multi-currency accounts, which are all in one app, change currencies quickly. So they have the widest range, and we recommend you to check them out first. Because Estonian local banks, commercial banks, what they want to see is a strong connection to the country. So this comes from the banking regulations, the KYC procedures, anti-money laundering procedures. They need to know what you're doing here locally. So for most e-residents who are not actually yet opening an office in Estonia, fintechs are the way to go. And Cristian, you were saying that your company uses Wise, and you've chosen this as the best option for you.
Correct.
Can you?
Yes. Yes, it's very easy with Wise. Actually, I remember that when we set up the company, after I got my e-residency card, it was really easy to open the bank account with Wise. And I remember they were needing some kind of paper that it was, I remember it was something in Estonian. And it was really easy to get that and opening the account, because Wise, it's also an Estonian company, right? So
Kind of.
unicorn, right? And so yeah, it's really easy. And yeah, well, as many neobanks around, but it's really easy to operate, for example, in different currencies, which is great when you're working with different countries. For example, for ourselves, working sometimes with Mexico and paying Mexican pesos and transfer from the euros account to Mexican pesos and transfer that to a Mexican bank account. It was easy. Sometimes it happens that depending on some regulations in some different countries, for example, in Colombia, we work a lot there. And there was a time that Wise was allowing Colombian pesos. Now they are not, but they are changing that depending on the regulations in some other countries. But basically, to work internationally, let's say US dollars, British pounds, or euros, it's really easy to set up.
Mm-hmm. And another interesting thing that we actually recommend e-residents to check out if you are if you're a resident in one of the other EU or European Economic Area countries, then maybe you have a great standing relationship with your bank in that country that may actually open you a bank account for your Estonian company, which may be actually a better choice for you than trying to come to Estonia and open an account here, because unfortunately a personal visit to the bank is still required. Which is a little bit, we're working on it. We're working on making this obsolete. I have a comparison table here. So essentially, we have LHV and Coop of the Estonian banks that welcome e-resident founders. But as I said, they require a strong connection to the country. If you are, for example, going to base yourself here, you can check those out. And if you plan to build a bigger office with employees on the spot, then definitely this is a great opportunity for you. But for others, I think the fintechs actually work quite well, and we work with the ones that are here. So if you need any advice, we have also a lot of materials on those companies and their services on our website in our knowledge base. So check it out. Small note, we are actually currently reimbursing e-residency fees for Ukrainians that open companies in Estonia. So if you are a Ukrainian founder listening today and plan to open a company in Estonia, then ask your service provider whether they are participating in this campaign, and we will actually be able to cover the application fee for you. All right, so let's take a look at the Q&A real quick as well. There's probably some questions here that are about the company registration process. What are the minimum requirements for the business owner and director? Is it mandatory that the director gets paid? In the Netherlands, it's required, hence the question. Good question, Maxim. There's no legal requirement for the director or the owner to be paid. So it's actually quite flexible how you choose to manage your business. At least the Estonian government has decided that it will not interfere very much into how businesses are run. Madis, maybe you have a comment on that. Maybe you have had some experience on how most e-resident founders actually choose to pay themselves, as there are multiple options how to pay the money to yourself.
Yeah, that's true. I guess most popular ones are still like paying out dividends from your profits if you distributed it out, or you will pay yourself a salary. And I guess like I know that it's like quite flexible, but in general the agreement is that if you actually produce some kind of work for your company, then you actually should pay yourself a salary. Like it's good practice to do. So at least with our customers, most of them still pay at least some amount of salary, and the biggest part is the dividends, because like it's taxed differently.
Mm-hmm. All right. So then we have William here asking about some quite specific things. William, I suggest you to first of all, e-residency has nothing to do with your right to work in Kenya or any other country. So if the local laws for some reason don't allow you to work, then you should check this out as well. But to run your business through Estonia, this is open to anyone being based anywhere. So this is, you have to like separate between yourself as an individual, having the right to work as in the work law and compliance context versus running your company. I'm going to leave it to Mats to answer more thoroughly as well. You cannot, Irem, unfortunately, you cannot choose a pickup date from the pickup center at first. You will be announced that you can now come to the embassy to agree on your pickup of the card. So you can actually do this once the card has arrived. Let me see. How is the business providers listed currently in the marketplace? They are actually listed according to the reviews and the popularity, so of how many e-residents choose them, and also how well they rate their services. So it's both, and you can choose how you display them. There's a drop-down menu to actually sort them differently if you wish. All right, then I see already there are some. I would like to also answer maybe the question of Roger. So Roger, if you open your company in Estonia, then I suggest you start out with a Wise account, which is the fastest, and those investors will be able to transfer you the money right away. So if you are in a hurry of getting an investment on your account, then go ahead and open a company and get a Wise account. And I really hope that Dirk has gotten his answer, and also Ammar. But I guess like a next very necessary topic is the taxes. And what we have to know about the taxes as e-residents running their businesses through Estonia. First of all, personal taxes. If you as an individual are employed by your own company, then your taxation depends on where you live, and which is very logical because you probably are using the social services of the country where you live. So if you are, for example, hoping to get medical insurance in Spain, you live there, you pay yourself salary, then your salary is taxed in Spain. Then company taxes. Company taxes are declared where the company is tax resident and or has a permanent establishment, which we will talk about a little bit more in a few next slides. Then payroll taxes and social contributions, again, where your employees are located. If you're wondering why different startups that provide this kind of compliance service for hiring everywhere in the world pop up one after another, then that's why, because your employees who you hire as employees in other countries, they all have to be paid according to where they're located. So this is something you have to keep in mind, but also keep in mind that hiring in Estonia is a great option for you because Estonians speak English very well. We're hardworking people. So you might want to actually choose to start building your office in Estonia, and then paying Estonian salaries from an Estonian company is all very straightforward and simple, and all doable online with the Estonian tax board. Value-added tax. If you are within the European Union with your operations, then being registered in Estonia allows you to actually declare VAT also to the countries within the European Union through that one country. So if you're selling, for example, something online, then you can go to these. You can declare your taxes to other countries and pay them through Estonian tax board as well. But as the tax topic is always very complicated, especially with the company taxes, then you have to focus a little bit for this very complicated slide that we have here. Estonian companies, when they register, they are automatically by our tax board first considered as tax residents of Estonia. So it happens at registration that you have become an Estonian tax resident, and this is something that's automatic. And but at the same time, your activities, if you are in another country, may actually create permanent establishment in some other countries. So your company may have tax liabilities in other countries. So it's not as straightforward that you now are definitely a tax resident of Estonia. So you have to look at the actual operations, how you run your company, how much of it happens in Estonia, how much of it happens in other countries, and then proportionally, this depends on that. E-residency doesn't equal tax residency. So it doesn't mean that you can somehow avoid taxes in other countries. And what you have to look at is that Estonia has signed treaties with 60 plus countries around the world to avoid double taxation. So dividends distributed in Estonia can be exempted from corporate income tax in other countries. So this is a diplomatic work in progress. Hopefully there will be more countries in the near future that we have this with. But basically the point is that if you are in one of those countries that has a double tax avoidance treaty, then your company income tax should not be paid twice. So you shouldn't be double taxed in theory. But to talk about the Estonian taxes and why we have still a lot of entrepreneurs who want to have their real physical base in Estonia as well, is because our tax system is very competitive. One reason why it's competitive is that it's so simple. It's literally a lot fewer pages than other countries' tax code. It's simple. It has a flat rate tax. Most things are understandable to entrepreneurs without hiring a legal and tax advisor. So this is something it's a big benefit, especially for small entrepreneurs and especially for those creative minds. There's no annual corporate income tax, which means that when your company is making profit, then this profit is not taxed at the end of the year. When you pay out this profit as dividends to the shareholders, then those dividends are actually taxed. And there's only one tax rate. It is 20% on distributed profits. And there's a small perk or discount that the state offers to those that pay regular dividends out. So if you've done it for 3 years in a row, then it actually goes down. The VAT threshold is 40,000 euros per year of revenue. So VAT is 20%, and it's going to now rise, unfortunately, to 22%. But VAT depends on where the service takes place. So like very often, e-residents don't actually have to worry about the VAT rate in Estonia. OSS, which is one-stop shop, and import one-stop shop regimes in EU, they actually simplify these VAT procedures a lot as well. So you can read about it and see how this makes your life as an entrepreneur working in different markets easier. Taxes can all be declared and paid online. And this is something that I was really laughing the other day. I was receiving an email from my accountant that told me that my company's taxes are due. Reminder on the 18th already. The 20th is the date when we have to pay. And I think I was brushing my teeth in the morning, and basically did it there. Something happened here. So standing in the bathroom, and I went to the Estonian tax board's e-service, and I paid it there in the bathroom while I was brushing my teeth. And literally, it did not take the 2 minutes you have to brush your teeth. It took a lot less. And something that is very hard for people from other countries to grasp is that our tax board is a service-minded institution. So if you have a misunderstanding, a confusion about some declaration, then there's an email, nonresident@empta.ee. So they actually have an email where you can speak to a real person, or you can call them up, and you can get advice. And this is something that's incomprehensible for a lot of people, because tax office is supposed to be something like a big brother looking over your shoulder and never talks to you in person. A good friend of mine who is actually a foreign-born Estonian was needing some help with their tax declaration, because they had some transactions that they had declared in hindsight a little bit wrong. And together we called up the tax board, and she was just amazed because she lives in the US most of the time. You would never do that with IRS to get a nice lady to answer the phone and speak to you and explain to you what you have to do. And just put this slide back here real quick. This is also the reason why Estonia has scored really high on this international tax competitiveness index. So we've been traditionally on the first place because of those things, that it's so simple, and because we actually do it all online. And as I said, and as somebody asked already, I saw in the Q&A section as well, place of effective management was a term that caught my eye there. So permanent establishment and these questions about where companies are really located. The way to understand this question is that countries are internationally trying to stop shelf companies from being created. So when your company grows, when you start hiring people, when you are scaling to different markets, then to be able to fully take advantage of Estonian transparent tax system, this is what you need to do. You need to create substance in Estonia, and substance is something that ties your operations to Estonia. So that you can fully be Estonian tax resident with your company and have the corporate profits taxed here only at payout of dividends. And what creates substance? Renting an office, hiring employees, holding your board meetings in Estonia, registering assets and IP in Estonia. Also, you might consider becoming a digital nomad, which means that you don't have a place of permanent residency yourself. So you constantly change places. Or we have seen plenty of e-residents becoming e-residents and falling in love with the country physically, also not just digitally. So you might want to check out this link about bringing your business to Estonia and tying your future more to Estonia as well. We are a little bit over time, but let's see if we have a little bit more here. Maybe Madis, maybe you have some questions that you picked out from here that you would like to answer from the Q&A section, or maybe Cristian has. So I will quickly browse through to see what else do we take from here.
Yes,
Simon,
I've been replying some, but yes, I think there are a lot of questions about. Yeah, I think Madis maybe will be more suitable to reply those.
Yeah, so Simon, you have a couple of questions here that it's fully possible to do it on your own. I have sat on a video call with a couple of e-residents going through the e-business registry, and it's all in English. You have to check the pre-filled options for your articles of association. So if you familiarize yourself with the Estonian accounting principles, in theory it's possible to do your own accounting. But trust me, even I, running a one-man company, being a kind of a solopreneur on the side, doing side gigs, I still prefer to leave my yearly accounts to an accountant. So it really depends. And you can find cheaper providers, more expensive providers. The more expensive providers may have a really nice and seamless solution for you, such as Xolo. Madis, maybe you want to comment on it seems quite expensive part here that Simon is worried about. But basically, those companies that make everything very easy for you have also built a very nice interface for you to be able to not figure it out on your own. You guys can answer whatever you feel like answering from the Q&A section. Kathy has a great question. As an owner of an OÜ, what's my liability? Are my personal assets at risk or just the OÜ's assets? So the liability of an OÜ company is 2,500 euros, non-dependent on the share capital put down, which is now as little as 1 euro cent. But in case of, let's say, bankruptcy or when your liabilities exceed your actual assets, then that's why limited liability companies are limited liability companies, because the liability of shareholders is limited. Except, there's always a but, except for when you have actually not been compliant to certain requirements of the shareholder. So acting in good faith, acting loyally to your company, making sure you know and follow the laws. So if for some reason you should be going into court and losing, then it might be that you have to might be actually responsible with your personal assets as well. But that's only if you have committed a crime. So that's the answer to this question. Any other ones, Cristian and Madis, that you feel like answering live?
Yeah, I was on mute and sorry about that. But I just saw some questions regarding the opening a bank account in LHV or the real bank versus using the fintech solution. Maybe just to share some experiences that our customers have had, is that the strong connection with Estonia that our traditional banks require is actually like, if you already have like perhaps you have some customers in Estonia, then it's already a good enough connection with Estonia, at least from my previous experience with other clients. So it doesn't mean that you have to have like a full establishment in Estonia. You just need to have like either partners or some customers in Estonia, and that should be enough to actually open a bank account. Of course, it depends on like case by case. It's banks who decide that. But what I usually suggest is that if you're not able to open a traditional bank account, then just start with the Wise or Revolut, and then after a while, when you already have like build up some presence and you have like some business activity, then you have a more or like higher probability of opening up traditional bank account as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, any other ones? Is there a minimum income for the company? That's an interesting question. A company can be also non-active. So if for some reason your company has not been able to get any customers or any revenue, that it's fully possible that there is no income that is coming into the company. But still aware of the time, and we've went over time a little bit, so we're gonna probably close it up by moving to the final comments. And first of all, thank you so much that you've joined this webinar today. I hope Hannah and Mats have helped answering questions also on the background in written form. So you have received answers from us that you wished for. A couple of more things. I would be super happy if you actually gave us feedback after this webinar. We will send you a special form, and you are able to tell us what you think and what you felt that we should have covered that we didn't. Then you can keep in touch with us and ask questions in our subreddit on Reddit. You are also, if you have a clear plan to establish a company in Estonia, you're just comparing Estonia to maybe a few other jurisdictions, then I also recommend you to reach out to me personally. So I'm happy to include my details in the follow-up email that we send to participants. We're able to advise you over a video call in person as well. If you have more general questions, then this is our support email. We are happy to answer all your questions, and we have an extensive database of different knowledge-based articles that we have gathered over time. So most likely for any question you send to our support, there's also a very thorough English article that we have created, and the same for Xolo. Actually, Xolo has a very good base of frequently asked questions as well that they've answered on their website. And if you don't have any further questions, then this is the link for applying for e-Residency on the Police and Border Guard site, and we would be excited to hear about your journey once you become an e-resident. So thank you very much. Thank you for your kind words, Alexandre. And we are very happy that you joined us today. Keep in touch and let us know how your journey as an e-resident, as a company holder is going. We frequently write about our e-residents and are happy to hear from you. So thank you very much. And any final words from Madis and Cristian?
Yeah, I just want to thank you all for coming, and hopefully we can partner up when you open your company. And thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, everybody. And we hope that this information has been helpful for everybody.
So then let's close it up and have a nice day, everybody, whatever time it is where you are at.
Bye.